Good afternoon and welcome to the week 10 lecture video. Let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda. Okay, so once again, I always like to start the course with this. This course is organized using a three-pronged approach. Okay, so prong one is theory, and that comes from you reading the textbook, taking the quizzes, and us reviewing the quizzes. Okay, prong two is SPSS. You just finished your last SPSS assignment. And again, the whole point of that is when it comes time for your results section, which is next, okay, you'll receive SPSS output, and the goal is for you to interpret the statistics. Okay, and obviously I'm here to help, but this was the purpose of prong two, to get you ready to accomplish that step. And I know some of you have had SPSS before and some of you haven't. Prong three is a research paper, and that's the point of these lectures and the discussion forums and the other assignments, right, which are the rough drafts. So speaking of the rough draft, I gave you introduction rough draft feedback, and I gave it to you as assignment comments. So one quick note as we get closer to the final paper is with regards to your article summaries. So you all have done the article summaries well, okay? And you've included headings for objective, methods, and conclusions. But to take your literature review, which is part two of your introduction section, to the next level, I want you to start using headings. I want you to organize your literature review by hypothesis. So for example, you could have one header that says the relationship between gender and support for same-sex marriage. Another one could be the relationship between openness and support for same-sex marriage. The next one could be the relationship between race and same-sex marriage. And obviously, it's all based on your hypotheses. And remember, all the articles you found should fit into one of your three hypotheses. So it should be easy to pick which article summaries to put under which heading. And again, before we move on, here's a quick overview of APA heading. So level one is going to be your title, right? Centered, bold, okay? With title, case, heading, just like that. So what these headers are going to be in your introduction section, they're all going to be level two, right? So obviously you have your title and then part one of your introduction. And then as you move into part two of your introduction, which is the literature review, this is where you can stick in a level two header, the relationship between gender and same-sex marriage, and so on and so forth, right? And then for your hypotheses section, which is the third part of your introduction section, I also want you to use a level two header, okay? And just say hypotheses, okay? So that's kind of, this is a little helpful image or sheet, whatever you want to call it. So definitely look at this. And again, if you look at the sample paper that we reference from time to time, and again, it's posted this week as well. Okay, if we go to files, and we're on week 10. So I usually post it every week, but you'll see the paper overview. Okay, right? So that's what I'm talking about. But if you go to the paper overview, you're going to see examples of how to do this. So if you look at the introduction section in the paper overview, it's using level one and level two headers, okay? So that's what I want you to add now, just to make your paper extra better. The second thing is, I want you to remove the headings of objective, method, and conclusion from your article summaries, okay? Early on, we kind of use those as placeholders just to make sure that you knew that you had to put in an objective and a method and a conclusion. And so I could easily find your objective, method, and conclusion, right? But we've moved past that now. So now for each of your article summaries, you take out those headers, and now each article summary will be one paragraph instead of three, as it was before. 3 paragraphs being objective, method, and conclusion. Okay, so these are the 2 quick notes that you'll need to do for your final paper that will just make that introduction section, specifically the literature review, super clear for the reader. Okay, cool. Oh, and before I move on, and I mentioned at the end actually, make sure that you have a total of 10 article summaries for your final paper, right? And they all just stay in part 2 of the introduction, your literature review. So let me know if you have any questions about that. The SPSS Lecture 5 notes, okay? Let me know if you have any questions about that. I'm not going to go over it. Let's go ahead and take a look at the week 9 discussion. Okay, so the week 9 discussion had to deal with writing the procedure section, and that's all. So in the week 8 discussion, you wrote the participant section. Okay, week 9 the procedure, and now week 10 we're going to go over how to write the measures section. Those are the 3 sections of the method section. And again, whereas part 1 was introducing your topic, and part 1 of your introduction section was introducing your topic and including a purpose statement for your study, and part 2 was solely just providing article summaries for other people's studies, right? And part 3 was back to, these are my hypotheses, okay, based on those findings that I reviewed. When we move to methods, we are no longer focusing on those studies, okay? I know some people have a tendency to want to write the methods of the studies that they did the article summaries for. That's not what we're doing. For the methods, for the results, for the discussion, for the tables and figures, this is all about personality and gay marriage attitudes. Okay. So let's take a look at the method section, or the measure section of the method section. Okay, we're going to review an example. Okay, and then I'm going to show you some references related to some of these measures that you may or may not be using. So let's say one of your variables is self-esteem. Well, personality and gay marriage attitudes uses the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. Okay, this is exactly how you would write it. Self-esteem was measured using the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. I put an abbreviation here, and then this is the citation, and I'll show you where that comes from in a second. RSES is a 10-item Likert scored measure. Responses range from 1 strongly agree to 4 strongly disagree. This measure includes such items such as, and then there's 3 examples, and then it ends with a parenthetical citation. Okay? So what are the components here? And remember, for each variable in your hypotheses, you need a measure paragraph. But what are the components you have to include? Say the concept that it's measuring. Say what it was measured using, in this case, the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. If there's a provided citation, provide that citation. Then talk about it. Is it a Likert scored measure? Okay. What were the response options? Okay. And then give some examples of items included if there are multiple items. Okay. And that's all you're doing. Everyone should look the same. If you have the Rosenberg self-esteem scale, yours should all look pretty much exactly like this. There's very little wiggle room. just like the participants section. So if you're using the Rosenberg self-esteem scale, this is your citation. If you're using the balanced F scale, this is your citation. If you're using the religiosity measure, so this is not religious affiliation. Religious affiliation is Buddhist, Christian, atheist, etc. Okay? This is the actual religious orientation scale looking at intrinsic and extrinsic religiosity. Okay, if you're using openness or neuroticism, okay, this is going to be your citation. Oh, by the way, so I'm providing the in-text citation here. So this is a parenthetical citation as well as your reference below. Okay. So this would actually go in your measure right there, the parenthetical citation. This would go in your reference section. Okay. And there also the PANAS, which is the positive and negative affect schedule. So I know some of you are using that. There's your parenthetical citation. There's your reference. I don't think anyone's using the interpersonal judgment scale, but there you go. So something else I wanted to take a look at is I know some of you have simple measures like gender. Okay, so it wouldn't be as complicated as the Rosenberg self-esteem scale. We would write something like this. Are you ready? We would say gender was measured using a multiple choice question. Okay. There were 2 response options given, male and female. That's it. There's really not much else to add there. Let's try ethnicity or race. Race was measured using a multiple choice scale or multiple choice measure. Participants were asked to indicate whether they were African American, Asian American, Caucasian, Hispanic, Latino, mixed, or other. Additionally, no matter what option participants chose, they had an opportunity to specify if they felt it was necessary. Done. Okay. So suffice to say, if you have some sort of validated measure that has a reference like the Rosenberg self-esteem scale, this is the template you're going to follow. Okay. If you have something like gender, religious affiliation, race, you're going to try to include as many of these elements as you can, but there are no citations. Okay. So hopefully that helps. Definitely let me know if you have any questions via email or office hours. So what assignments are due next Sunday by 11:59 p.m.? It's the week 10 discussion. Let's take a look at that. Sorry, I like to go this way actually. So good job, by the way. Keep up the good work. It's been, gosh, we're at 2.5 months. So, and you all are doing well. And again, it's okay not to get full credit on the rough draft assignments. That's my opportunity to withhold that full credit to help you revise. And that's a good thing. That's what research is about, revising. Okay. So I'm gonna look and I'm going to find some key things and I'm gonna give you comments and I'm gonna look for you to fix those and then I can give you full credit. And again, if you're not understanding something, feel free to email me or come to office hours. Okay, so let's take a look at the week 10 discussion. The other thing that's due is the week 5, or rather quiz 5. Okay, so I'm having you copy and paste your hypotheses again, because again, they're so important, right? And you'll see why. Write the measures section of your paper. Be sure to watch the week 10 lecture video before you begin, which is this video. remember, you need one paragraph for each variable that is represented in your hypotheses. So stare at your hypotheses that you paste here, okay? And you need to write a measure paragraph for every single variable you mention in your hypotheses, okay? Part 3, respond to 2 other students, compare what they wrote to what you learned in the week 10 lecture video. Also, please let them know if something is unclear and if possible, suggest a correction. Okay? Again, this is important because as researchers, we're peers and we need to help each other out, right? So you're getting that level in this discussion from your peers, and you're also getting a professional opinion or professional help from me along the way. So I think it works really well. Okay. And again, just another reminder, you need to find and create article summaries for the 10 articles. For the 10 articles you need for the introduction section of your paper. So we formally did 3, okay, but you need a total of 10. Okay, so I just want to point that out. Well, anyway, so that's all I have for you. Definitely email me if you have any questions and or drop by office hours. It's always good to see people, to see how you're doing, and to answer your questions, help you out, and it really inspires me too to at times email the class, do a mass email, just because we covered something that I thought, hey, that'd be super helpful for everyone to know. Well, anyway, have a great evening and have a great week. Take care.